Hello and welcome to today's video, ladies and gents. We've got two pieces of news today that I think are worth diving into. We've got The Bride of Frankenstein, It May Still Live. I can play on words, punny, ha ha ha. And secondly, we're looking to get an update on The Flash, the sort of long gestating Ezra Miller project. Allegedly, there's some news coming soon. But I think what's most pertinent, most surprising, most kind of out of the blue is The Bride of Frankenstein is still alive at Universal. And not by a bad person either. So the screenwriter behind it is David Cope. Done quite a lot of good stuff. So that's what we're going to dive into today. Skip ahead 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But guys, I'm making a movie. That's the poster to it. Ladies and gents, it is a high concept horror fantasy film called Blackfields. I'm writer, director. We're looking to basically start production next month now, actually. I'm crowdfunding for it. You can donate $5 or more and you're entered into a chance to win a ornamental prop based on the items in the film. But anyway, out of the way, let's dive into it. All that's linked down below, but let's go, right? So, Universal have resurrected, there's going to be a lot of puns today, they've resurrected their dark universe, but not in the way that we thought it was going to be done. And that's really important to note, guys. Like, it's not this interconnected dark universe that they had originally had, or that they'd originally tried to set up. Those people that have followed this, it originally started with, what was it? Dracula Untold, which I didn't think was a terrible movie. It wasn't bad. Could have been better if it was R-rated and a little bit more, leaning into it rather than the sympathetic elements that they had. But all being said, it was a fine film. It was a bit schlocky here and there. Wasn't terrible. And they'd initially tried to set it up with that. Really, really silly, dumb ending. Let the games begin or whatever it was that they said. But it failed. For whatever reason, it didn't make a ton of money. They chose to sit on it. They didn't choose to develop it any further. And then, the height of the sort of connected universe films that were coming out, i.e., Marvel and DC had started to ramp up. They then released The Mummy, which was, I've done a review on it. It almost bored me to death. It was one of the movies that I almost walked out of, and I hadn't walked out of a movie for a really long time. And that completely failed. But they really hedged their bets on that. If you remember on the lead up to that, they had a press photo with, well, they weren't even there, all in the room. They actually had to be photoshopped in, which is hilarious. Javier Bardem, Tom Cruise. Who else was there? God damn. Was Angelina Jolie there? Basically, all these stars were there. Johnny Depp was there. Everyone was there. Because Johnny Depp was originally going to be the Invisible Man, I believe. Javier Bardem was going to be Frankenstein, if I remember rightly. There were just all these things, right? All these people there, and that's what they were going to do. They're going to do the dark universe. And they even opened up The Mummy with Tom Cruise as the Mummy, with Universal's Dark Universe, or whatever it was. And it was this whole new logo and everything. And then it failed. The Mummy was a massive, monumental bomb. However much money that film lost is, your guess is as good as mine. It probably lost so much. And they haven't done anything since. But then we start to see the newer movies kind of creep in. We start to see The Invisible Man do very, very well. We start to see them inking deals with Blumhouse. And you start to get a feel for, well, it looks like they're starting to bring it back, but in a much, much better way. And as it stands, sorry, there was a big shiny, it was still shine on my forehead, but hey, whatever. But they've got a good formula now, right? Lower budget, better films, less focus on this interconnected nonsense. Just make good films, right? And that's what they started to do. Invisible Man made a ton of money. Was made on a budget of $7 million, and it's just raked it in. And then we start to get this. We start to get more words of Blumhouse. We start to get the fact that James Wan is making a movie, and all these other things. And now here is an exclusive as per Collider. David Cope's Bride of Frankenstein is still alive at Universal, but you can guarantee 99% certain that it won't be in the form that it was before. I highly doubt they're going to go the connected tissue route. And it's an interesting thing that they're starting off with. Start off with the Bride of Frankenstein rather than Frankenstein. I like it, I guess, because Frankenstein's been done a lot, so good to do something different. I'm sure everyone can agree with that. But it would just be dependent on how they do it. So, again, this is an exclusive as per Collider. And basically, he says, and I quote, that was one thing I did during quarantine. I brought back Bride of Frankenstein into a place where I kind of always wanted it to be. Universal was very gracious to let me try again because they had geared up and shut down famously in the Dark Universe fiasco. I like the fact that David Cope's just calling them out. It was very, very funny. And basically, well, not fiasco, but disappointment. So I have a version now, and they have a version that we all really like. I think they're talking to directors now. I mean, that's pretty big, right? Pretty damn big. It's not the great big $150 million extravaganza with giant movie stars, Cope explained. It's not as scaled down as Invisible Man, but much more reasonable, doable thing, with, I think, a really cool idea, and it's all present day. So a present day Bride of Frankenstein. Very, very interesting. Now, I think what's surprising here is the fact that they're slowly inching the budgets back up. Just stop it. Don't do it. Why? Why are you doing it? This is always what happens with movie studios. It's always the bloody same. They get a whiff of success and they go, right, well, we'll just pump more money into it. Just give them more. And it's like, no. Invisible Man was a success because it was low key. And they just made like tons of profit off the back end. Like, just stop it. Absolutely, just stop it. Ridiculous. Oh, good God. And there is a new Dracula being planned as well, by the way. Which does sound quite interesting. They're trying to keep it much more in line, I believe, with Bram Stoker's, off the top of my head, if I remember rightly. But anyway, he also said, not all ideas work out. Cope explained, to their credit, what I really admired about Universal is they threw their hands up and went, hold on, this isn't working out. Let's stop and think for a year or two. I thought that was really smart, and big corporations don't often do that. There aren't a lot of new Coke moments where they go, this is not as we hoped. We're going to stop and go off on this other direction. The direction they went into with smaller budgets, more creative risks, and an emphasis on scares over bigger superhero adventure movie aspirations has already paid off. We can't wait to see what this new streamlined Frankenstein looks like. That's what there's comments with respect to Collider, and they have paid off. But it sounds like they're already inching the budgets back up, does it not? So, look, David Cope's actually really good. He's done a lot of stuff. It's not all good, obviously, but he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, it's non-stop what he's done. Constant. And he's got a deep history in Hollywood. Again, not all of it's good. Not all of it is good. And also, bearing in mind, they're not solely his screenplays, right? Remember, some of these things can be, his contributor to them. But just, rudimentary look through here, he's done a lot of good stuff. Obviously, The Mummy was not very good. And more recently, none of it is particularly groundbreaking and absolutely amazing. But he's not terrible. He's not terrible. And in a world of just absolute garbage, he does have some standouts. Jurassic Park. Pretty sure we could all agree that that's a very good movie, can't we? Yes. Most people like Spider-Man 2002. Most people like the original Mission Impossible. So he has done some good things. Hopefully we can see a return to his older style of films, but that remains to be seen. Bride of Frankenstein still lives. What do you think? What do you think? It's resurrected. So punny. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, then please do hit subscribe. I'm not finishing the video up here, by the way, FYI. Just letting you guys know. Just hit subscribe and turn your bell notifications on and all that good stuff. But I would love to hear your thoughts on Bride of Frankenstein. I don't hate the fact that they're going to the Bride of Frankenstein first. I think it's to be expected that you do Frankenstein. I'd like them to be in a corner where they have to write something interesting to justify it. Because obviously, without Frankenstein's monster, how are you going to do the Bride of Frankenstein, right? So I like that. I think that opens them up to some creativity, and that could be really interesting. Now, lastly, on today's roundup of interesting news, the Flash producer Barbara Muschietti basically says that news about the DC Comics movie is coming. Now, that's not a huge surprise because we could expect that this was going to happen. There's been a lot of nothing about this project for a while, but DC is looking to do some like DC streaming at home presentation thing. So whether they announce this or whether they say it's delayed or whatever, it sounds like there's going to be some news coming anyway. Now the report states, and I quote, "The Flash has been delayed on multiple occasions now and made its way through multiple directors and writers. Now, though, Helmer Andy Muschietti is attached to take charge of the Scarlet Speedster's first big screen solo adventure with a 2022 release date. I think that's going to be moved because Warner Brothers have moved a lot to 2022, mainly Matrix 4. I think they're going to delay this, to be perfectly honest. I think that's what the news is going to be. But basically, a fan recently asked the Flash producer Barbara Muschietti, who frequently produces her husband's projects, whether we can expect any updates, and she replied on Instagram with, "It's coming. News very soon." Basically, we're getting a Comic-Con at home DC-led event, which is like DC fandom. It's just some like at home screening event thing. I think that's more than likely. I think it's just going to be delayed. I can't see it releasing 2022, and mainly because what's the story? Who else is acting in it? When's the production? Like, there's so many factors going into this, and not only that, Warner Brothers have released, and delayed a lot of films to 2022. I think they're going to be waiting to see actually what other movies are going to delay as well. So there you go, there's my hot prediction. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this news though down below in the comment section. Please do leave your thoughts. I do read them and I do respond to some. I can't respond to all, but yeah, I do respond to some. So check it all out down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found a fantastic weekend and I hope you all have a great week. Just as a quick PSA, some people remember I did this Hellraiser Below and Beyond script treatment thing. It was like 6 episodes. I'm actually just editing it now into one long hour audiobook. It will either be released today or tomorrow, so please do stay tuned for that. And also going to be doing some Godzilla vs. Kong theory videos, not spoilers, so don't worry about that. I don't know anything about this film specifically. There's no links that are confirmed or anything like that, so they will all just be theory videos and such forth. I want to get back to some kind of just surreal fandom exploration, I guess, because there's no movie news at the moment, and it's just all, the world's just shit, isn't it? So I want to deep dive into some theories and fandom for you all as a bit of escapism. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the quick PSA. Thank you for bearing with me. I've been Mr. H. Take care.